Hello students, hope you are doing well. So today we will discuss the difference between statement and prepared statement in JDBC. Okay, so a statement is an interface, as you all know. So what happens when the JDBC call, okay, when the JDBC request to the database, the JDBC request to the database with the help of certain queries. Okay, so when it requests to the database, okay, so the database will process the query, okay, that will be sent by the JDBC in the form of statement. Okay, so this processing of the query will be done at database, and it is also known as the compilation of the query. Okay, so the database engine will compile the query, okay, that has been requested by this JDBC. After the compilation, the query will be executed, okay, and after the execution, this query will be given to this JDBC application or our Java application. Okay, so the process is, okay, it is a 4-layer process, you can say. Okay, a request is being sent from our Java application to the database, okay, for the particular query. The query is processing at the particular database with the help of the database engine. The database engine is processing the query or compiling the query, and at the same time the query is being executed and it is being returned to our Java application. Okay, so in this overall scenario, okay, let us assume that the time taken by the query from the JDBC application to database, okay, if we split this particular time into the request time, okay, plus the compilation time plus the execution time. So both this compilation and execution is done at the database side. Okay, the database engine is responsible for the compilation and the execution of the query, okay, the request that the Java application has sent to the database. Okay, plus the response time. Okay, the response time is the time that after this query is successfully executed, it will be returned to our Java application. Okay, so there will be some time lapse in between. So if we take, okay, for example, minimum time as 0.1 millisecond, then it can be summed up as the request time 0.1, okay, milliseconds, plus 0.1 is the compilation time, plus 0.1 is the execution time, okay, plus 0.1 is the response time. So if we add all these times, then it will come as 0.4 milliseconds. Okay, so this 0.4 milliseconds is for a single query, okay, per query time. This is the per query time. So if there is a one query that has to be processed, okay, if only a single query is being requested by our Java application to the database, then for this single query the time taken, okay, internally, okay, through this whole process is 0.4 milliseconds. So for example, if there are, suppose, okay, n queries and n is 1 lakh, okay, so for example there are 1 lakh queries that has to be executed, okay, that have to be executed and compiled. So what will happen if we replace, okay, this n, okay, with 1 lakh? So 1 lakh into 0.4, it means that 40,000 milliseconds will be required to process the same query. Okay, so it means when we use a statement, okay, when we use this statement object, so this statement object, each time if we are, okay, we are just giving the particular queries, we are requesting for a particular query from the database. So each time this query will be compiled and each time this query will be executed. Okay, so for 1000 queries or for 1 lakh queries, 1 lakh times these queries will be compiled and 1 lakh times these query will be executed. Okay, so it means that the time lapse will be more. Okay, so I will just compare it with the help of the prepared statement, that how this prepared statement is better as compared to the statement. Okay, so here in this case the time is 40,000 milliseconds. Okay, so this is an assumption we have taken, okay, that when we use statement object, then compilation, each time compilation is mandatory. Okay, each time the query will be compiled. Okay, but if we come to the prepared statement, okay, so in prepared statement, okay, what is the scenario? The scenario is when the Java application requests, okay, for the database for the particular query. So the query will be passed at the time when we are creating the prepared statement. It is passed at the time we are creating the prepared statement object. But in case of statement, we are not passing the query during the statement object creation. There is some difference. We will resolve it with the help of some practicals. But before, we have to understand the major difference. So in case of prepared statement, the query has to be passed. The query has to be passed in the statement itself. In the statement itself. And when this query is given to the database, so the database engine will compile this query. And after the compilation, the database server will save this query for the future request, or you can say the database server caches this particular query, and this compiled query at the same time will be returned to the prepared statement. So when we write the prepared statement, then we can say that we are providing a pre-compiled query to the database. So we are providing a pre-compiled query. So the query has been compiled first time only. So after it has been compiled, this compiled query is again returned to our prepared statement. So we can say we are using a pre-compiled query in our prepared statement. And as a result of which, if we are working with multiple queries, then only the execution of these multiple queries will be required. We don't have to compile these multiple queries each time. This is the major difference. In the case of statement, we have to compile the queries each time. Each time the queries have to be compiled. But in case of prepared statement, there is a concept of a pre-compiled query that has been returned from the database to this prepared statement. And this, with the help of this pre-compiled query, only the execution of the queries will take place now. So if we can say, if we split this task into the request time plus the execution time at database, there is no compilation time at the database, because the compilation has been already done. This compiled query has already been saved in the database servers. It has been already cached in the database server, so there is no need to compile it again. So there is only execution. So it can be taken as, if the minimum time is taken as 0.1 milliseconds, then we can count it as 0.1 millisecond as the request time plus 0.1 millisecond as the execution time plus 0.1 millisecond as the response time. So the total time is 0.3 milliseconds for a single query. That has to be executed only because this query is pre-compiled. So it has been written that 0.3 milliseconds for a single query to be compiled and executed. It means that for a single time we have to at the time of creation of the statement, this query have to be given to the database for the compilation, and at the same time within a fraction of seconds internally this particular query, this particular pre-compiled query will be returned to the prepared statement. So you can just neglect this particular compiled that is written here. Only this query will be executed. If there are n queries, so and assuming n is equal to 1 lakh, so the total time taken will be 1 lakh into 0.3. It means 30,000 milliseconds is the time taken when we are dealing with the prepared statement. So if we compare when we are taking the same queries, n queries, that is n equal to 1 lakh in case of statement, then the total time will be coming the total time is coming as 40,000 milliseconds. And if we are dealing with prepared statement, that is the pre-compiled queries, then the total time is coming as 30,000 milliseconds. That is a very huge difference. So we can say that prepared statement is better as compared to the statement. The efficiency of the prepared statement is more. It is, you can say, faster for successive calls of the same statements. So also there are some advantages of these prepared statements. We can use parameterized queries. Okay, we can use parameterized queries in prepared statement. Okay, so these type of queries are when we have to pass the values during the runtime, so we are using prepared statement. Okay, when the runtime process is there, when the dynamic process is there, okay, so during dynamic process we use prepared statement. Okay, if we want multiple records to be accessed, okay, so for these multiple records we have to use the parameterized query, and these parameterized queries are to be used only with the help of prepared statements. Also, these prepared statements are used in your cyber security. Okay, in your cyber securities, where we use SQL injections, okay, to overcome, to protect against these cyber crimes. Okay, so this in SQL injection type of thing, we are using these prepared statements. Okay, so this is the point. Thanks.